All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a special double fight review. So we're going to Anaheim, California for UFC 270. First up, we're going to the Flyweight division. Kay Hansen coming in at 7-4, taking on Jasmine Jasudavicius coming in at 6-1. First round, Hansen went for an early takedown, but Jasmine was able to stay up and reverse the clinch. Jazz then went to work, striking at range. And then another Hansen takedown attempt was blocked. And then Jasmine ended up getting her own takedown and used effective ground and pound, giving Hansen problems with her length on the ground. And I thought that was really interesting, the way that the length of Jasudavicius was giving Hansen problems on the ground. Because usually when you think of length and reach being an advantage, you think of it on the feet, not so much on the ground. But Jasudavicius was able to use her length well on the ground as well. Second round, Hansen caught a low kick from Jasudavicius and got a takedown early. But within a few seconds, Jasudavicius landed a pretty nice sweep there, was able to take top position. Again, she started landing some good GNP on Hansen. Had Hansen up against the fence, landed some good elbows, and kept Hansen pressed to the fence. And then there was like a small lull in the action, like just slight, and for whatever reason, the referee stood it up at about the 3-minute mark. If anything, that was like helped Hansen more than anything. At that point, Hansen started actually finding her timing, but she went for another takedown and got blocked by Jasudavicius, and then Jasmine took her down again near the end of the round. So I had Jasudavicius up 2-0 going into the third. Third round was very fun round here. Both ladies, they slugged it out on the feet. I mean, they slugged it out. Jasudavicius tried to keep Hansen outside, but Hansen finally started finding her timing. Really found a home for her lead left hand. Particularly was doing really well with a check hook, keeping Jasudavicius from getting too close with that check hook. Jasudavicius was able to get the clinch and started landing some knees in the final 10 seconds, which honestly I was waiting for her to really start using her clinch the entire fight. Unfortunately, it only happened in the last 10 seconds. Definitely Hansen's best round. So it went to the judges, and they saw it. All three of them saw it for Jasmine Jasudavicius, 30-27, and then two of them had it 29-28. And both judges that gave it the 29-28 scores saw the third round for Kay Hansen, which I can understand because that left hand she was landing were very effective. I thought this was a fun scrap, just a fun fight overall. Two ladies that neither of them were ranked. For Jasudavicius, this was her UFC debut, and I'll tell you what, for this being her UFC debut, she displayed none of the octagon jitters that a lot of fighters showed. She came out, she was walking out, she was excited, slapping hands and cheering, and then after the fight, she was just so excited and happy. Just seemingly no nervous energy from her. If she was nervous, she hit it very well. And for some fighters, that's what they need. Like, they can't be inside their own head or else they get too nervous. So for some fighters, it's better if they're relaxed. For some, they like being that nervous. I don't know, but for her, she just seemed to go out there and have fun. For Kay Hansen, she already admitted afterwards on social media it is back to strawweight for her. She talked about having problems with the weight and everything and was just sick of cutting all the weight. But I think she realized that, once you go up in weight, you're dealing with not only fighters that are going to be bigger than you, period. You're going to deal with bigger fighters that cut weight to that weight class as well. And also, you're just not going to have people Jasudavicius size as either. I mean, Jasudavicius had I think a 5-inch reach advantage on Hansen. I mean, she's 5'7". You don't get too many 5'7" fighters at strawweight. So I think strawweight really is Hansen's best weight class. It's where she's had her best results overall because she's gone to flyweight before with mixed results. So moving on to the second fight, we move down to the strawweight division. We have Silvana Gomez Juarez coming in at 10-3, taking on Vanessa Demopolis coming in at 6-4. Going into the first round, Demopolis, she came out aggressive, chasing Juarez down with strikes, but Juarez, she landed a heavy right hand, basically stopped Demopolis right in her tracks. Like she kind of stopped, had to reset a little bit. They carried on. Demopolis was still being aggressive on her feet, but she was leaving her chin open, and Juarez dropped her with a big overhand right. And I mean, she straight up dropped Demopolis. And then she followed her down, looking to finish, but gave Demopolis a chance. Demopolis got back to her guard. She trapped the right arm, and then slid her guard up high, scooted to the arm bar, and then she stretched it out, forcing Juarez to tap. Amazing comeback for Vanessa Demopolis. The official time was 2 minutes, 25 seconds of the first round. Just really nice comeback win for Demopolis there. And I got to say, I knew as soon as Juarez went to the ground, I'm thinking, okay, obviously her team did not do their homework on Demopolis, or she just saw the finish, like saw red, and lost all train of thought, because you just do not chase Demopolis to the ground. If you have a striking advantage against her, you got to use it. Beat her up on the feet, but do not chase Vanessa Demopolis to the ground. She is much better on the ground than she is on the feet, and Juarez is a much better striker than she is a ground fighter. It was just bad fight IQ from her. I had seen Demopolis in action before, and I'd seen fighters basically do the same thing to her, and Demopolis was able to turn it into submissions. So just bad fight IQ from Juarez. Sticking with Silvana Gomez Juarez, I think she just came to the UFC too late. She's been fighting since 2010, off and on. Like there were a couple of years here and there where she didn't fight. But I look at her and I think, had she made it to the UFC earlier, like around 2016, 17, I think she would have had a better career in the UFC, because for the first several years of strawweight in the UFC, it was basically a striker's paradise. Outside of Carla Esparza, there were practically no wrestlers, no ground fighters. But now, the strawweight division is full of killers. The fighters are much more well-rounded. We've got some ground specialists here. And a fighter like Juarez is just going to be food for them, unfortunately. She just doesn't have the ground game for it. She's good on the feet, and she has heavy hands. But unfortunately, she just came to the UFC too late. And she's also already 37. Looks darn good for 37. You wouldn't think it looking at her, but she's 37 years old, and I think she just came to the UFC too late. For Demopolis, does she have the skills to be champion? I honestly don't think so. I mean, she doesn't come from a martial arts background. Just started fighting. Training straight up mixed martial arts. Was actually scouted while she was on stage at a gentleman's club, we shall say, and started training and got into mixed martial arts. So she doesn't have a martial arts background to fall back on. So I don't think she'll ever have the skills to be a champ. But I will say this: she has the charisma to be an absolute star. Between doing the splits at the weigh-ins, she did the splits after her win last night. Did like a forward, not a front flip, but like a forward walkover into the splits again. And then her interview with Joe Rogan, and then she jumped up and he like held her, which was just wild. She absolutely has the charisma to be a star. She's a bit of a wild child. And she already gained 38,000 new followers on Instagram overnight. I just saw on Twitter before I started recording this. So she definitely could be a star. The matchmaking, though, will be key for doing something with Vanessa Demopoulos. They're going to have to match her up very carefully. As for fights to make for both of these fights, we already know Kate Hansen's going back down to strawweight. Jasudavicius is going to stay at flyweight. She's unranked. She'll probably be fighting one of the other unranked fighters. For Gomez Juarez, that's a good question. It's going to be tough to match her up as well. And like I said, for Demopolis, they're going to have to match her up carefully to not waste her star potential. So I haven't really thought too much. I'm going to have to do some more work before I decide on that. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on these fights in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to WMMAC Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.